Welcome back to DajibanLife. I'm here today. I know it's been a while. It's a mess as usual. But yeah, I haven't posted anything because it's been really hot. And because it's been so hot, I've just been kind of hiding like a I don't know, like a gopher or a bear? No. What hides when it's hot? I don't know. I actually did break down one day and got a hotel room for one night because it was 115 that day, and at night it was probably like 105 or so, and it just wasn't, I just could not handle that. So in the middle of the day I was like, you know what, like I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight, so I'm just gonna get a hotel room and sleep there. And cool AC. I love AC so much. It is like, if it was a person, AC would be my best friend. You know what I mean? Like I would marry AC. I would, like, it would just be my everything. So for the past maybe month and a half, I would say, I haven't been able to do much of anything because it's been in the hundreds pretty much the whole time. And it's starting to cool off now, so I'm starting work on the van again, and it needs some. The new tires have been working out great. The thing is, they do rub, probably on this bolt right here. As far as the stickers on the fender go, they're in bad shape, man. They're starting to peel off. The steering's kind of wonky. It just sort of turns by itself sometimes because I think the tie rods are broken, honestly. So it's probably not super safe to drive around in. Oh, those ATVs are loud. But you know, whatever. If you're wondering, I have these boxes here. So today, mostly what I'll be doing is that I think my battery bank and my solar generator, my solar system, one of the banks went bad, I'm pretty sure. And so I bought some replacements here. What I have now are nickel metal cobalt or something, NMC batteries. It's a lithium ion mixture, but I bought these new ones to replace them. Let me show you guys what we got here. And these are lithium iron phosphate batteries. So the voltages are going to be a lot more in line with normal batteries. I guess like 12 volt batteries, you know, 24 volt batteries, because the ones I have capped out at 24. So normally 24 volt batteries, you can charge them up to like 28 volts or something like that. For these, I can only charge them up to 24. I mean, that's partly because of degradation, because they were only at about 60 to 80% capacity. And after about a year almost of using them, I think I started off with about 60% capacity on those batteries. And I don't know how many times they've been cycled, but NMC chemistry, you can only really cycle about 2,000 to 3,000 times. And I think I got them towards the end of their life. Like they'd probably been cycled at least 1,500 times or so. This will make it hopefully painless. It'll just be, I don't really have to think about my batteries at all anymore. I just can do whatever I want on them because this theoretically should give me about 4 days of battery life, with everything, not everything, but you know, like the fridge running constantly and you know, whatever else I need to do. Alright, so here's my current setup. It's basically a Husky toolbox. It's like 3 feet wide or 30 inches by, I don't know, it was like 20 something inches by like 17-inch depth. And this little thing came with it, and like a tray or whatever, and it fits in here like you can see. It was made for that, so I just keep tools in there that I'm gonna use, you know what I mean, like a crimper and whatnot. So let's take that out so we can get a look at the battery. Sorry about that. So we can get a look at the battery itself. And this is what I was talking about earlier, the little cell meter things. So I have some wires that I made hooked up into the existing BMS of these batteries. I don't know if they're actually BMSs though, but if you hook this up, yeah, I think that's right. For this guy, there's nothing. It doesn't even turn on, which makes me think that this battery is actually dead. It died one time and I had to revive it, you know, from the grave and brought it back to life. But it died again one day when it was really hot, and I think that just pretty much killed it. But here's the 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. It's made by Jindal, and I haven't had any problems with overheating or anything. I think it overheated once maybe so far. And this is the setup. I know this looks really crazy and confusing. These are 6 cells, 6S, right? I think they're 4P6S, or it could be 5P6S. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the nominal voltage on this guy is 24 volts. And you can see here from the person I bought it from, the max voltage for these guys is 24.15. So I'm not able to use all of the capacity of the battery because my cutoff, I'm using a Victron battery controller. I think that's what that's called. Can you see that? Yeah, okay. And that guy, let's see if I can move this up for you guys a little bit so you can see everything. So that guy cuts off at, I think, 19 volts, 19 even. It's good that it cuts off so early at 19 because then I'm not, you know, running the batteries down all the way. So I thought that might extend the life. But I guess these batteries just kind of, you know, had it anyway. So I'm gonna, because the voltage is different, I'm gonna have to change the settings of my solar charge controller and everything. And these wires are just kind of crazy everywhere. So I'm gonna have to unhook all this stuff. But I can maybe explain kind of how everything works. So basically these two batteries are 24 volts, right? And they're in parallel. And that's what this line right here and this short line right here, that's what I was going to use to connect where the bus bars were too short on the new battery. So I was going to use one of these lines to connect positive to negative. But these are in parallel because they're both 24 volts. And that gives this battery bank 120 amp hours at 24 volts. You know, ideally, theoretically, but because of degradation and whatnot, it's probably about 60% of that at this point, and this battery actually might be dead, like I said. So then that goes through this fuse, which is very poorly done, and it's barely hanging on there, probably from the car, you know, going over bumps and jumping around and stuff. So this thing is actually about to break, it looks like. So good thing I'm redoing this. But that goes to this fuse, which is, I think, is 175 amp fuse, right? And that goes to the battery protect, right? And then the main battery protect is a switch, basically, so that when it's good, like green means good or whatever, right? It doesn't have any lights telling you it's good, but you know, in its good state, there's no sorts of check lights or anything, right? That goes, you know, through the switch, so then the switch will be closed. It goes to my power inverter, right? And also to my 12 volt buck converter, right? And then that connects into this fuse panel, right? 12 volt fuse panel. So all my 12 volt accessories on here, like down here for my USB connections, my voltage meter, and my cigarette plugs, right? All of those are connected through, oh, you can't even see what I was pointing at, sorry. But that's connected through this fuse box. So each fuse here connects to one of those things, right? And then from the main battery power, right, I have a Hayes meter or whatever. So I have a D-Rock battery meter thingy, but that's not connected right now. But then down here, right, this connects to the solar charge controller. So from the main battery, so that even if this disconnects, right, because of low voltage, the solar power is still connected to charge the batteries up, right? So that's the setup, and it's been working really well. And down here, if you can't see, it looks like there was a lot of heat and something burned. Like all this stuff is burned right here. So that's not good. Oh wow, yeah, it melted pretty well. I don't know if you can see that down there. But that wire right there, the black one, is black. So it definitely got hot and burned. So it's, yeah, all the shielding kind of came off. It got really hot down there one day, I guess, when it was pretty hot. So yeah, usually you want to keep your batteries and your solar, like this whole system, like a 70 degrees constantly, Fahrenheit. But obviously in a car, you know, when it's parked out in the sun, that's probably not ideal. So it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So that's why I have these computer fans. I put in some Noctua fans, 2 of them that run constantly all the time. But I didn't adjust the speed on them. They're actually on the lowest setting. So that's probably not strong enough to get really good airflow. Like I put some vents on this side so it pulls air in through here, right? And then exhausts through there. But in the summer, I'll probably have to turn these up. In the winter, it's, you know, I didn't think I really needed them. That's when I started using this thing more regularly. But in summer, I didn't really adjust the fan setting. So it probably wasn't getting cool enough in here. That's why we have some burning in there. But anyway, that the solar charge controller is connected to a 50 amp fuse or a circuit breaker basically, and that'll pop if anything, you know, there's too much surge. And then yeah, all this stuff is wired in, like this fan control. I have a manual fan control that I can turn up, right? So yeah, the fans are going full speed now, but I had them down like halfway, I guess, just so they weren't noisy. I didn't want to have too much noise coming out of them. But anyway, I'm basically going to rebuild this, where this battery bank is being switched out for these guys, right? The lithium iron phosphate. And, you know, hopefully that'll work. Alright, so the batteries are disconnected now completely from the system and from each other. So I'm gonna take a voltmeter and see what the voltage of these batteries are, because I have a suspicion that this one's gonna be 0 or really low. Okay, so I got my voltmeter here. Put it somewhere where we can see it. Can you see it there, the reading? Let's put it here. I don't know if you can read that. Oh, you can't see it. I'll tell you what it is. Alright, so we're gonna put positive here, negative here. Should read 24 volts. 23.7. If I had another hand, I would hold it up like this, but it's at 23.7 volts. So that means this battery's good still, right? But this one, it's reading 13, 12, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Yeah, it just keeps going down. So basically, yeah, what I thought was true. This battery is just completely dead. So let me get these wires out of the way because they're bothering me. And basically all this is I took one of these, I bought like a little extension cord that plugged, because it has to be flat because of the space in here. And this plugs into, this is a regular AC, the inverter. So it's like a regular 110 outlet, right? That plugs into there. And then I just spliced the lines here, right? So that there's, you know, ground, positive and neutral, or positive, ground and neutral, right? And then I just wired those into 110 outlets here on the box, basically. So that's kind of how that works. Yeah, these connections probably shouldn't be exposed like this, because they could short out or cause problems, maybe heat, something. But inside of this box, I thought it was pretty contained and controlled, so I didn't think it would be a problem. And so far it's worked pretty well. But let me unplug these guys. So one of them would go to this outlet, right? One of the, because there's only 2 outlets on this guy, on the inverter. So one of the outlets would go here, and then one of the outlets would split into 2 down here. So I have 2 outlets. So basically one would run my fridge full time, and the other one I could run, I have a power strip that I run that would charge like my batteries, or, you know, if I needed to plug my laptop in, because those power draws aren't that much that, you know, it would overload just one. But if I put like the refrigerator and my laptop on the same circuit, or the same outlet, it would probably blow that outlet, you know what I mean? Yeah, I tried to separate it out according to the load on each socket. So now that I got that done, I'm gonna lift these batteries out nice thing about these batteries, I've got this one all unscrewed. The dead one is that they came with these little like mounting points. So if you can see down there, I have wood, and I just mounted these, I screwed these down into the wood so that they wouldn't move. So that's really handy. I'm gonna figure out something with these new batteries because they don't have that. They don't have these little feet down here to mount them to. So they're just gonna be loose floating around. Alright, so I got the batteries in there. They're basically taped together with VHB tape for most of them, but I ran out of VHB tape, which is like a rubberized tape basically. But I ran out, so I just used foam tape, double-sided foam tape for the last few, which is actually, I think, a lot stronger than VHB tape. I don't think VHB tape is all that strong, but it is waterproof, whereas foam tape is not. If it gets wet, it'll just kind of, you know, die. Not die. What am I saying? Sorry, I'm not paying attention. It won't be as sticky. It'll lose its adhesion. Okay, so I have all the batteries in series. Oh, I forgot to connect the BMS. Alright, so here's the BMS that I'll be using. I got this from Overkill Solar. I basically, I'm a fan of Will Prowse. I don't know if you know who that is, but he does a solar channel, so I've pretty much learned. I mean, I knew a lot of stuff about electrical before doing any of this, but I learned what I needed to from his channel, and it's Will Prowse, Prowsc. So basically, he recommended this, and obviously the batteries I was using before wasn't something recommended by him. I just sort of, you know, made it work, and it worked for a while until that one battery died. These are actually off like a link from his website, but they're not the exact batteries. I actually found some different ones. So I don't think he actually recommended these, but this BMS he did, so I trust him about that. This is a 8-cell BMS, which I guess is not common. It's kind of a new thing, so I'm gonna try it out. It seems pretty self-explanatory. I just need to put some crimp some ends on here, some rings, and then connect it up so that this BMS is 100 amp, so it'll control the charging and discharging of my battery bank, which I didn't have before. So this is pretty exciting to have that. It's starting to get dark now, which sucks because I'm probably gonna hold off on finishing this today and finish it tomorrow, hooking up the BMS and stuff. Once I get this thing hooked up, things should go by pretty fast because I'll just be hooking, you know, this stuff back up and then reprogramming my solar charge controller so it has the right profile for these types of batteries instead of the ones I had. So once that's all done, yeah, it should go pretty fast. But because I don't have the BMS hooked up, which might take me a little over an hour, but I only have about an hour of sunlight left, I don't want to be working in the dark, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of tired and all that. And I also need to put all this stuff away and shove this back under the bed, you know, and get rid of all my tools and all that nonsense before I can even sleep, because this is in the middle of the floor right now. I can't live like that. So I'll just be without electricity for one night. But hopefully tomorrow I'll get the BMS hooked up and this, you know, everything hooked back up the way it was pretty much. And then I'll just clean up a lot of these wires. I have zip ties now, so I'll just zip tie all this stuff and just make things look really, really clean. I don't know how clean it will be, but as clean as I can get it, I guess. But that's why I have a box, so that I can just close the lid and not look at it and not worry about it. So we'll either continue this tomorrow. If the video gets kind of long, I might break it up into 2 parts. So, or you might just see me again here tomorrow, just continuing the build. But in case I break it up, then thanks for watching, and catch me on the next one to see how all of this ends up, you know, turning out. All right.